Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson. it feels
It's over!
it feels so good to say that after so long. How's it going, Andrew? So today we are going to be we're going to be taking it's my first look at UI Builder.
I cheated.
Yeah, you cheated.
I had to. I was like, how are we going to make this look good?
So I've been tied up on I've been tied up on Salary Survey for the last ever.
Which is why I'm so glad it's over.
I am a bit quiet.
I'll turn you up.
Let's see. How are we sounding now? Trying to make sure we get things right here. We've got a new setup here in North Carolina. So we moved over the winter. Similar, okay. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Let's see, that's headset, so let's try that. How's that setting? So we'll keep messing with the gain and see if we can get the audio right. But yeah, so today I'm finally getting a chance to actually sit down and take a look at UI Builder, which I've been dying. Let's try and ratchet that up a little bit more.
What are you doing? You know, I bet they could hear you better if you had a snazzy intro like all the other YouTubers. Live from Johnston County.
Okay, let's see. We'll keep tweaking with the audio settings till we get things right. All right, but so yeah, this is my first look at UI Builder.
You've not looked at any blog articles?
Well, I have looked at some blog articles. Basically, all my information on Quebec has pretty much been coming from Ashley SN. AshleySN.com. She's been blogging through all of her escapades. Okay, good. Andrew says it's much better. So Ashley's been blogging through all of her escapades with Quebec, and I have just been able to kind of glean from her and enjoy Quebec through the lens of her work so far. And then there was the little bit that you showed me while you were playing with it, Sarah.
Yeah, I was playing with it, but there was more cursing than actual progress. So there's that. Because it's very different from Service Portal. And I was like, what is this normal development stuff? So here we are.
Yeah. So I actually just upgraded my personal dev instance to Quebec today. So this is actually my first look, and already I'm loving the UI changes on the welcome page. So I am largely making a lot of this up as I go along, and we'll see how this goes. So open UI Builder. Gosh, I'm really liking this new look ServiceNow has going on. This stuff's really cool. I'm going to rotate my mic over here since I'm going to be working on this guy on this monitor. Andrew says make sure that I check out Flow Designer's new UI. I have actually started digging into Flow Designer a lot lately. I've used it on a recent project, and I am looking at using it in some top secret projects that I'm working on at the moment. Well, I guess they're not totally top secret. I'm helping Sarah out with FastGov and taking a look at some of the stuff we've been building for GlideFast. And I'm looking at using Flow Designer for that extensively. And oh my gosh, it's so cool.
It's going to be hot.
All right, so let's see. We've got a few experiences already.
Those are not very informative.
Expand the Fladvocate army.
I need to make a T-shirt for you, flow designer people.
The Fladvocates?
Yes.
I am rapidly becoming one. So I'm going to click on that UX page registry. Okay, I do remember a bit about the UX page registries from my digging into the UX framework before all this came out. Let's just try clicking new and see what we get. App Shell UI. Ooh, Portal App Shell. Let's try the Portal Shell. And
that seemed to be like your header and stuff. I'm not sure, but that's kind of the idea I got.
well, we do have some basics. Start UI Builder. Create a page.
Andrew, you got a link to your stuff on Redbubble? I'd love to see it. We don't have enough ridiculous ServiceNow t-shirts, so I want to make more of them.
Not sure on that one. Using UI Builder, building with components, staying up to date, creating custom components. All right, so I don't see anything terribly helpful there, so let's just make it up as we go along.
Something new and different for you.
Let's start with Workspace Core. I don't know what that's actually going to do, but... And I am currently working in an application scope I was using earlier to mess around with Flow Designer, so I'm just going to keep that app scope. It's a dummy scope I plan on throwing away anyway. So... Test Portal Shell, and we'll see what happens. Had more, but the mothership took them down on me. Oh no!
Womp womp. What do they frown on? You using the word ServiceNow or anything that references?
JSON data for authentication, authorization, public routes.
See, you're doing the important stuff, but we're having a legit conversation about swag, and that's important too.
That is important.
Yeah.
That's fine. It makes things interesting while I try to pull my head out of my rear end here. Let's see. Did that give me anything over here? Not really.
They have a tutorial. Would you like to go through it?
Ooh, a tutorial.
Yeah. It's in the product doc. It's like the little product documentation they have right now.
Let's see. Let's go over to the always favorite developer site. Guides. Reference.
Okay, so if we're talking with Andrew in the chat, he says if you're going to make ServiceNow swag, you can't say ServiceNow or use any of their copyrighted things. We'll have to find interesting ways around that.
Gotta be careful with that. That's how stuff like Service Later happens.
Now I want to make that.
Let's see. Let's check out learning plans, see if we got anything in here.
So is Service Later like the knockoff version?
You know what? I'm gonna go back. Let's go to Ashley's.
Ashley, help us.
Because I think she might have, let's see, workspace experience. Yeah, I know she had a lot on the workspace stuff. Did she have anything on...
She had one that kind of got you started. That one right there.
UI Builder. Let's see if we can piggyback off of her hour in UI Builder. It's now
Her
legacy.
sites are nice and clean.
Experiences versus workspaces.
See how she uses those headings to create visual hierarchy.
Be sure to go through the quick start documentation. Here's a link to the ServiceNow UI Builder quick start. See, I don't want to create a page. I want the whole shebang.
No, I have. Oh, there's ServiceNow Ninja stuff. I have not seen that.
Okay, so
I wanted.
2 columns, add a container, add a heading component, add a container component. Gosh, it has been so long since I've actually done
Any of this?
With UI Builder.
The knowledge has caught up with you finally?
The knowledge?
Like, all your knowledge has, like, they've caught up to everything you know, so you have to learn new things again for the first time in, like, a decade.
I am really far behind at this point. I mean, I've been operating off of Orlando instances mostly. I am so far out of date on everything. Ooh, UI Builder and portals.
Andrew, do you have a link to that? Because I'd really love
UI
to see
Builder
that.
home displays your available experiences. Once you select a portal experience, you can start editing pages, see portal experience settings. So some initial commentary here so far. If you have to go to the docs to figure it out, your user experience is missing something. So it was really jarring to click on Create Experience in Platform and not really be able to readily figure out what I'm missing. So there's definitely some missing pieces here in terms of the user experience, but I love the UI. I love the UI.
This is a great example of the difference between a good UI and a good UX.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, the UI of the UI Builder here is just really beautiful. I really like the look of it. It's really clean. But the user experience, I mean, you got to remember, just a few short months ago, I ripped apart the UX framework and was looking at all the tables and underpinnings and everything else, and I'm still looking at this like, where do I go? Whereas with Service Portal, when Service Portal launched, it was so intuitive from almost day one that I just picked it up and just started using it. So I'm really looking forward to the evolution of the user experience here. It's a guy from a partner and a guy from the UX team in ServiceNow.
We're talking about ServiceNow Ninja.
Oh, you guys are talking about ServiceNow
Swag
Ninja. Oh, you guys are still talking about Swag. Okay.
Dude, Swag is life. No, but this being a good example of a portal can be beautiful, and this is something I preach because I'm very design heavy. Portal can be beautiful, but if it doesn't work and it doesn't get your users to what they need, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. You failed. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Let's see if there's anything. No,
it
just launches to the same UI Builder. That's stubborn.
Did you type in Now Experience Framework? Because there's a lot more under that, I want to say.
Now Experience.
There you go. There's like
Framework.
all the things there.
Experiences, App Shell UIs, UI Builder, Dashboard Builder, bunch of building blocks. Okay, some of this stuff I do remember from taking apart the underpinnings. Gosh, even if I could just get a basic start, I feel like I would get somewhere, but this is tough. All right, I am going to go with...
We could do the tutorial.
Ashley says to check out the live coding happy hour. Now, I got no audio on my current machine, but... Andrew! Brad!
I'm gonna make Lego men that look like them to match my Chuck Tomasi one. It's gonna be epic.
Let's see. All right, so let's see. This is where we get it. They open UI Builder. Okay, they create. Okay, so I was on the right track. And then... This is so exciting. You're joining to watch a video of a video.
Did you see what Andrew said?
It's also a big create app button on your homepage there. Create app button. This guy up here, declaratively with code. Yeah, so build apps with Studio. So
Hey,
I mean,
Robert.
do I need to go down this road?
Yes.
But this is for app creation. So do I need? I mean, I'm already in an app. I'm gonna keep watching what's going on over here because I feel like I was on the right path.
Just do it.
I am just doing it.
I don't know. You're watching the video. You got to know more. You
See,
just pick one.
they selected Portal App Shell.
Robert says must go deeper.
UX app configuration record. Wow. Okay. Admin panel. Okay. So I need to go to admin panel and then they select. Looks like they're going to go with a new one. All right, I can do that. All right, so let's give that a shot. This is, yeesh. So test portal shell was the one I created before, and it looks like what I was missing was the admin panel. So UX app configuration, we come in here, we create a new one.
How would you even know to do that?
Because you went to Ashley's blog,
And
which
she
led
figured it out,
led you
so-
to live coding happy hour.
So it seems like we as a community are just slowly kind of piecing this together a little bit at a time. And the guys over at the Live Code Happy Hour, they're like giving us little tidbits to push us along.
The big shots.
They're teasing us.
They're feeding us.
I just want to know where to put CSS to make
Okay,
it not
so
look like
let's
ServiceNow.
go.
Not that ServiceNow looks bad.
Portal
but
app shell, or no, sorry, test portal. We'll just go with test portal for now. Let's see. Do they fill out anything else? You don't know how to do that. It's really average. AM portal, home.
You know, I'd already have this done if we were doing it in Service Portal. Just saying.
Home. Icon
Robert
description.
says, does someone have the instructions to the instructional video? And I agree with
Okay.
that sentiment.
All right, update. And then it should show in UI Builder. Hey, there we go. Test portal shell. Okay.
So you have to not only create...
You got to set up some basic configuration first. You've got to come in. So basically, if I go back, can I go back? Does the browser back button? Okay, there we go. I was a little worried that the browser back button didn't work.
You can never go back.
So you can never go back. All right, so what we did was we created an experience in the platform. We clicked new, which this is the record we created. We gave it a name. We picked our app shell UI, which apparently locks after you've selected it, so keep that in mind.
That's terrifying.
We selected the portal app shell, and then you had to choose an admin panel.
Do we know what the admin panel does?
We created a new one. Let's see. UX app configuration. I'm not sure on that one. That one may have been one of the... if that table existed the last time I was digging into these tables, it was one of the ones I was having trouble figuring out. But what I can say is that adding that admin panel is what added it to this My Experiences. And once it was in the My Experiences, now I can open it up and actually start doing something with it.
You could create a page.
So
The little images are so cute.
we're getting there. So let's just start with a home page, and we can choose a template, and we've got a URL preview which mirrors the URLs that I was looking at when I was tearing apart the UX framework. It's generating those URLs.
Shouldn't it be test home because all your other stuff is test something?
No, this one's not a test. This one's for real.
For real?
I mean, it's in a scoped app that I'm going to delete anyway, so... So we've got a few different templates here, which I wonder if, what are page templates? Page templates are predefined pages that can be customized to fit your needs. You can choose to reference or copy a page template, but can I choose to create a template? We'll get there. This blog has a step-by-step for setting up a public-facing portal replacement.
Ooh. I find that very interesting. Because I am in the midst of...
Which blog is that, Andrew?
He's getting ready to post the link, I think.
All right, so I'm not going to do a template right now. I want to do it from scratch to start.
Why can't you just take the easy way?
Because the hard way is how I learn.
You and I are just like the exact opposite. I'm like, give me the out-of-box one and then let me poke at stuff till something moves.
The more times my face hits a brick wall, the more I learn.
That's very true. I can testify to that.
Let's see. Okay. I'm going to slow down and I'm actually going to read the text in front of me.
Slow down.
Success. Your page has been created. We also created your first page variant for you. Page variant?
Variants are cool.
In the future, you can create multiple variants for a page to target content to a specific audience, such as agents or managers. So I guess this is similar to the role controls in Portal, maybe. Oh, ServiceNow Ninjas. Okay, ServiceNow Ninjas has a step-by-step. That's cool.
All right, I'm going to go be nosy and look for this.
Okay. All right, so for variant, I can add visibility. I can set conditions. That's cool. We'll use those at some point. Required parameters. Add required parameters. Ordered pieces of data that are required by your page to work. Commonly used required parameters are... okay, so this is my URL parameters that I can add to the page. I guess I can use that in various actions. Optional parameters. These are optional. All right. I hope I can get back to that because I'm going to click Done. Let's see. Okay, so again, this is my first real big dig into UI Builder at all or anything Quebec. So I noticed that I've got my application picker up here. That's cool and in a familiar spot. What's menu? Create page, create variant, duplicate variant, edit page settings, edit variant settings, edit experience settings. So page settings, delete. Sweet, big red button, love it. Can change my path and name.
I found it, the ServiceNow Ninjas.blog. They've got a pretty good series, it looks like, on
cool.
different things.
We'll have to dig into that one a little bit more. Is it just ServiceNow Ninjas?
.blog.
.blog?
Yes.
Okay. So ServiceNow Ninjas .blog.
Thank you, Andrew.
Page. I can change the page template. That's cool. What are experience settings? Branding and theming. You can select themes. Create themes. I like it. Create a theme right there.
It's not the same.
We'll get there.
That's lulling you into a false sense of security.
That's okay. That's okay. So far, I gotta say, once you get past that initial configuration stuff, I'm feeling a lot better about the user experience once you're in the UI Builder. It feels like a lot of love and attention was paid to this.
Yeah, this I got to play around in this a little bit, and it's fun. It is a lot of drag and drop, and you could just like,
layouts.
Yeah, you can just pick the layout and you're done.
Okay. All right, so that's for the container layout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you can like nest containers, kind of like how you can nest
configure
rows.
component. I guess I have to add a component to configure it. So this is my body tag. Get him a body bag.
What is that from?
That's Karate Kid.
Oh, it's been a very long time since I've seen Karate Kid.
I'm sorry, I've been watching Cobra Kai, so all the old memories come back. All right, so add a component. We've got, good Lord.
Oh, there's lots of components. You can.
All right, I'm gonna sit down.
Why do you get to sit down?
Cause I got a special chair.
You got a stand-up desk. I can't sit down.
Well, pump your hydraulics up.
It don't. Oh my goodness.
Well, seems like my $20 chair is better than yours.
Cause I didn't want a stand-up desk.
I don't want to stand up.
You want a stand-up desk? Now, I think you can
resizable panes.
You can search. I don't know if you can narrow it down, but
a star rating.
You probably want to start with like the containers up there.
Up here?
Yeah. Hit the little plus. Open up that bad boy. I don't know what I did. I think we added a container. That's not what I thought it was going to do. But now you have a container.
Can I move it out of there, or is it stuck?
It's just stuck.
Let's delete that component. And then we're back to here. Okay, I
Do it
feel
again.
okay with that. Let's add an action bar. Okay, so that adds it to that container. And column reverse, row reverse. Okay, so flexbox. Basic flexbox.
Flexbox.
Whoa, what was that?
Ooh.
What is this button?
Well, click it.
I think it's selecting the parent. Yeah, that's what it looks like it's doing. It looks like it's moving up one level.
Nice.
Okay, so we've got body, main, action bar. Configure component, add before, add after, delete component. Yeah, we'll delete that one. We'll get there. Okay, so then from here, I can, so now I'm in main. That brings me to body.
So it allows you to more easily go up and down the ladder, so to speak.
Depends on how you look at it. I guess I'm... Okay, so over here is my... Okay, I got it. So over here is my tree.
Yep.
So you can actually navigate the tree over here more than likely. So let's add a component here. Let's add that action bar back. Yeah, see, I can nav... Oh, that's cool.
That is nice.
All right, and body doesn't get any peers, so that's why you can't add before or after, I'm guessing. I don't know, let's find out. Add component. Let's see if we can add. Okay, so the add button is going to change depending on what you select over here. So on the body, I can add some really high-level components.
Like the modals
confirm modals, something custom, modal viewport. Okay, what can I do for main? Component or modal. And then once I'm inside of main, I can add components before, after, or modal. Fancy. All right, so add component, activity stream, agent assist, agent chat alert, QA, attachments, button iconic, button stateful, canvas placeholder, checkbox, collapsible, color picker, comparator, confirm message, contact card, container. How about just...
They have a card on there too, I want to say.
List menu. Heading.
Those are like...
Header, but not the header I'm looking for.
I think all that's in the actual...
Is
UI
part of the shell.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of this. This is like just the page content. You know, in Service Portal, the header and the footer don't show up.
Yeah. All right, well, before I get digging too far into that, let's take a little bit further of a look at what we have here within this UI. So we've got our variants, which is different pages, different variations of a page for different users. So I guess instead, it looks like whereas in Service Portal you would control the control a widget's view by role. Like you could go into a widget instance and change the role that applied to it.
Yeah.
It looks like in UI Builder, what we're going to use is page variants. You replace the entire page based on role. So then we've got our content panel, which is our tree of components. So that's like your HTML tree. And then over here, you can see, ooh, display flex and display grid. Oh my gosh, that's cool. Oh, display grid or display flex, that's going to be golden. And I can change the CSS of it directly in here.
Yeah, but I was having trouble with this because I couldn't put like just a class in and like nest the CSS. So I'm not real sure how that works yet.
Okay.
That's where I left off a couple months ago.
CSS styles. All right, well here, let's try some things.
Go with your bad self.
Let's add a container.
Make it blue.
All right, so I got can I rename container one? I would love if I could. Fine, be that. Wait, configure component. Standard, search, layout, events, config, no config options, container one, simple container component, ID, container one, edit component visibility, hide component. Okay, so this looks like a data property. So it looks like we can use a data property to control whether or not it's hidden.
What's a data property?
Okay, so in the UX framework world, everything is driven through actions. So like your ng clicks type stuff is replaced with actions. There's a central state model that is controlled in a store. You know how I showed you in some of the store-based components that I've built on Service Portal. So there's a central store that handles the data. You dispatch actions to the store. And then, depending on what you dispatch, the state is updated based on the action. So the state contains properties, and those properties get pushed back down the component tree. And so the data flows in one direction. Actions push it up to the store. Store processes the actions. Store pushes the state back down the component tree. And that is how it always works. That flow is how everything happens. The props coming back down is how you can hide. So you know how you would usually use ng-click to change c.data.show component. Show something.
Yeah.
Properties are the c.data.show something.
Oh. Okay.
And actions are your ng-click. Loose correlation here because they're
so different.
They're two completely different models of state management. Service Portal and AngularJS being what can best be described as no sound state model. Every component has its own state and they all talk to each other and it's a bunch of shouting.
You did a thing on this that widgets are temperamental and they don't play nice. You used a Tony Stark quote.
Yes, they're temperamental and they don't play well with others. But the UX framework is more React Redux based, which pushes data in a big circle.
It's terrifying.
The data flows in that circle at all times. Well, it might be terrifying, but for more complex UIs, it's really, really stable and very predictable because all you have to do is read the flow of actions and you know what state should come out of it.
Yeah.
So it's more predictable and it's easier to troubleshoot on really complex UIs. And then we've got a test value where we can test true, false, none. Okay, so that's for component visibility. Then we've got yes, we can change the label. My new container.
Priorities, man.
And we can change the ID. I'm going to leave the ID alone for now because I don't care. Actually, no, I do care. Naming is important. Webb is on this call, and he will
What's our variable name,
burn
Webb?
me alive if I do not name it properly.
Make it a long variable name, because he won't like that.
Well, I'm meeting him halfway. All right, so then we can change the layout, and then there's events. Has no configurable events. So events, I'm assuming, is tied to the is going to be similar to the React notion of events, which is what ng-click actually is.
Oh.
So ng-click is something where you bind to the event that's happening. The function that gets executed is somewhere in between an action handler. I guess it's kind of like an action handler. But so I'm guessing that these events are related to React events, which is basically you can specify that a component emits certain events. You know, a button, you can click a button.
Yeah.
So that allows you to bind actions to the component events. So events is what happens when either users or the system itself interacts. Okay, so let's go with layout because we're dealing with a container. 2 rows by 2 columns. Let's just start with something like this. Element, selector specificity. It's interesting to me that it starts with the star. Let me check something real quick. Shadow DOM asterisk, because I have
If it's some weird and not like actual CSS, I'm gonna be mad.
Well, I don't think it's. I don't think it's. It is CSS, but I suspect that we're dealing with Shadow DOM components. Shadow DOM CSS asterisk. Styling the host. I just want a simple answer asterisk. I want to mention the light DOM. Don't bleed into Shadow DOM. No way of being stylized. I don't know. That one's interesting. I'm gonna have to find out why is that an asterisk? That
Yeah,
is such
why
a,
is it an
that is such a
asterisk?
weird one to have there. Let's just manipulate it and see what happens. Oh, it just kicks right away. That's cool. But
Yeah, that's cool. And there are certain parameters that you can control in there. But like if you put what I was having trouble with is I put a component in there and then try to manipulate the CSS of that component and how it looks. It doesn't seem like you can do it from there.
let's investigate the DOM structure and let's see if we can figure out what's going on.
Is it bad I can't hear you say DOM without laughing about it? I'm 13.
All right, so already I'm seeing a bunch of shadow roots here. So we're definitely using Shadow DOM. Which Shadow DOM for the uninitiated is basically a special spec that has been created in the new web that sections off your web components. So basically, if a div is within a shadow component, what's called the light DOM, or everything that's outside of the shadow, can't push styles down into it. Technically, I think there's ways around it, and I think there's ways of manipulating it. But basically, it's a way so that if you specify a CSS style outside the shadow root, it's not going to contaminate the shadow root, which makes web components possible because you can create your CSS within that web component and trust that it's going to work and not be overridden by some stubborn higher level with an important flag on it. Yeah.
Like we see in Service Portal. In inane places that don't make sense.
Yes.
I've thrown many a notebook over that.
So let's see. So we're dealing with shadow root here. And what on earth is that asterisk? So simple container, we added a container component, slotted star, that's display block. Where's my width 100%? That's what I want to know. Probably not that. Is this pertaining to that? No, because I should be working on the container. Oh, width 100%. Okay. So let's see if I change this. Hold on, let me dock my... Ugh, I hate docking it. Oh well. It's good for TV.
You're doing it for your public.
Really? Let's just start with something stupid. Background. Oh gosh, that's gonna be a habit that's gonna be hard to break.
Did you click?
I did Control S from the Service Portal widget editor. I did Control S to try and save, and it tries to save the web page. So keep that in mind. It actually happens on change, it seems. So like if I change this to blue, it changes automatically, and you can see it up here changing color. Mm-hmm. And you can see this element style right here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now UXF page simple container. That's the component. That's the web component.
Yep.
Okay. So when I am changing the asterisk, what I am changing is the element style of that component. So it is being changed in the style of the HTML tag right there. See it?
Yep.
Okay, so that is what that is changing, which is why if you add, for example, let's say I wanted to try and grab that SN-layout. I don't think it's going to work. And we get a little, selector specificity. Do not use empty rule sets. That's fine. We can live with that. This is interesting. SN layout, background color,
purple,
red. It's shorter. So I don't honestly know what happened there. I don't know if it's filtering it out. Let's try this. Let's try giving it the now ID. Well, no, because that's now ID, component ID. Those aren't real IDs.
So they're fake IDs? Huh?
Gosh, yes, they're fake IDs.
Come on, I had to get one back. You dad joked me all day.
Oh, wait, down here, look. Only global star CSS block will be considered. Okay, so basically what's happening is the system is ignoring anything else I put in here. Mm-hmm. It is only acknowledging this star, and that star only applies to the element CSS. So this is like, I don't even think this is creating a style sheet. This is being internally processed somehow by the framework to generate something that's not a style sheet, but instead is a style tag within the component.
So does it only does it for the thing, and you can't access stuff within the component, the container or whatever?
Let's take it from a service portal first mindset. Basically what's happening is in the HTML, they're creating something that's like component name, style is equal to c.data.css.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's just basically it's like an inline style tag.
Exactly. So basically, what we are entering in this CSS styles block is not a CSS style sheet. It is data. It is data that is being processed by the system, and then it is being translated into the style tag here. I mean, which realistically would be pretty trivial code-wise, because you would just strip out the asterisk bracket, strip out the close bracket and anything after the close bracket. And then you could basically take that, remove the new lines, jam it into a style tag, and you're there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they're actually doing. They might be doing something more sophisticated. In fact, have to.
What do you have to?
Let's see if there's any. Aha! I thought so.
The little red bars over there?
All right, so if you look here,
It doesn't
at
like
rule or selector expected, semicolon expected, and one more. What I did was I tried SCSS nesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's not working. It's not. So let's try one more thing.
Yeah, I tried that. That didn't work. I got mad.
$. We'll just give it a random name. Okay, so this is not accepting SCSS at all. So if you're thinking those kinds of variables, we might need to throw those mindsets out.
Oh.
Let's see if it doesn't take ats. So it looks like it's taking pure CSS in here. There may be something that we discover later on, but as of right now, it looks like it's solely taking CSS. So, and it only affects that particular tag, which isn't useless. I mean, it's very useful. There's definitely plenty we can do with it, but it's very focused. It's very focused on what it's supposed to do.
That's a really kind way of putting it.
Well, I don't have a problem with it because it's just it's learning a new system.
Yeah.
I don't view it as a problem. I view it as different. One of the things I really like about web components and the direction that the new web is going is that it is isolating a lot of behaviors. It's creating more reusable components by protecting them from everything else.
So instead of doing like one widget 10 times that does the same thing, you can more easily configure.
Right.
Because you can snap together the different little pieces and parts.
Right. And realistically, what you would want to do is create components that accept some theme level properties, that accept some kind of configurable properties that you can control from a high level. So if you have 6 different components that all share border color, for example, you would want to accept those as properties on the component.
Yeah.
And that allows your components to manage themselves, but still take input from the outside world. So in that sense, you end up with less spaghetti garbage, which was a huge problem with...
Is that a technical term?
Yes. It was a huge problem with Service Portal, was because you could do anything, anywhere, any way you wanted, you ended up with people creating these widgets that were massive monoliths with really poor code structures that were extremely difficult to maintain. And, UX framework...
You did talk about that too, didn't you?
I did. Well, I mean, I created a lot of monsters and monoliths myself that, future Travis went back and was like, you stupid moron, why did you do this?
Nobody better.
Look at the created by, and it's, past.travis. So, been there, done that one too many times, and I learned things the hard way by beating my head against a brick wall. So, I really like the direction that UI Builder seems to be taking so far, which is a much more controlled approach, as long as it offers the options for properties and pushing those properties down and configuring from the outside. This could be really cool. So let's continue here. We can add different components here like we were talking about. Let's create some action bars. Let's actually go in this direction.
So you can see all the action?
I want to... So we talked about events, okay? So refresh requested action bar. Refresh link to destination. So we've got different event handlers. Remove alert, clear alert, set loading state, update client state parameter, refresh. Okay. User preference updated, open modal, close modal, add parameters to URL. So that would, add parameters to URL would be like your $ location dot such.
Which is nice because that gives you a really handy place to put that so
It
then
does.
you can grab it from your component and utilize that information.
It does. Form header updated, screen status changed. Well, that's annoying. I'm doing stuff. Leave me alone. Okay, so that one, I'm not gonna lie, that one threw me off a little bit because with the action bar, I was assuming there would be like click or something. I don't know. Let's delete that element. Let's see if we've got just let's do button. Let's keep it dead simple to start. Button. We've got different variants. Primary, secondary, tertiary, positive primary, positive secondary, negative primary.
Oh, look at there.
That's cool. I dig that. I like the different variants they provide there.
But what if you don't like that shade of green?
Come on. Dynamic data binding. Then you can change it by data binding. It looks like passing properties through the system. That's what it looks like anyway. Or a scripted property value. Evaluate property, API, params.api. So I've got access to some kind of API for this.
Nice.
Learn more. Format code. Now code editors, rich text interface that supports CSS, HTML, XML, JavaScript, JSON, debugging, blah blahs. Okay. Let's see. So I can change the variant through that. I can change the size to small, medium, large. I
There's
can
a
change
lot
the
you have
label.
out of the box. That's really nice.
I can change an icon. That's cool.
Okay.
Ah,
Can you do hover effects?
that's really a really slow response time on clicking that. That's going to be annoying. Disabled. Okay, cool. I can make it disabled, which can also be controlled by data binding. So we're definitely going to have to learn about this data binding stuff. From the looks of things, though, it looks like they are taking a very codeless approach to the UI building. Yes, you can do data binding, but instead of doing data binding through extensive scripting and making typos and everything else,
pick a thing.
you select the data you want to bind to. You select event handlers that manipulate the data binding.
But you still have to understand what those data bindings are and
Right.
things in that list.
It's a very proprietary system where you have to learn how they do things in order to make it work. That's what it's looking like. But there's a lot. It's looking like there's a lot of power for manipulating. Araya properties. So this is your.
Is it pronounced Araya or Aria?
Honestly, I don't know.
Because
I've only ever seen it.
label and everything.
I've only ever seen it in writing. I've never heard it spoken,
Hang
so
on.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna look this up because this is important.
Okay, not much info on how that's used. We'll figure that out, though. Once again, we've got CS. Ooh, let's see. All right, so first of all, let's go to the button component. No, I want the button. Where's the button? Button. Where are you, button? Now button? Now button. Okay. So let's manipulate. Weird. Where did that put that? Where is my background color red sitting?
Hey everyone, what's up? Gary Simon. So today we're going to be checking out Aria.
Aria?
Aria.
Is he legit official?
I don't know.
Or is he like me, just making it up as he goes along?
Probably making it up as he goes along. But this video's got, let's see.
Let's see.
I say we go with Aria because that's how I pronounce it.
Fine, we'll go with Aria.
It sounds better too.
Where did that put the red? That's what I want to know. Oh, wait, what?
So are you in the CSS for the button?
Oh. So the button is in the component. The button is not the component.
Componentception?
Well, see, I'm editing the styles for the button over here.
And
I changed the background color to red.
Yeah.
And that made this whole block red as opposed to just the button,
So
because
that's still the styles for the container, not necessarily the thing.
well, if you look at the HTML now button, that's what we're changing the color on.
Yeah.
That component contains an actual button HTML element which is not being modified. And because this only accepts what's within the asterisk, I don't think that we can actually walk into the shadow root, even if it were possible. Mm-hmm. I want to say I've seen stuff that indicates that you can jump into the shadow root, but don't quote me on that. There we go, button clicked. So when I click the button, I can close a modal, add parameters to URL. It's basically the same events. So let's look at modal closed. Modal instance ID, add parameters to URL. And basically everything can be bound to a data property. Whew.
It's extensive.
There's a lot to learn here. There is a lot to learn. I like that I can name everything. Not that I'm doing it right now, but
It's like naming your Photoshop layers. You gotta do it so you can keep things straight.
that is... All right, so basically everything comes down to that. Everything comes down to a lot of editing over here. Like I said, I really like this UI. I really like the user experience of it as well. This has been really cool. Let's see. Okay, we're going to... Not yet. Not yet. That opened up a whole new can of worms I was not ready for. All right, so here, let's do this. I'm going to select a container. I'm going to add another component after container. So containers are components. Everything's a component. Everything's a component in this. And I really like that. I really like that approach.
That means you can build any of it.
Right. In theory. Hopefully. Let's say... Let's just check a list. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's see.
That probably has a whole bunch of different components.
Menu selection. Select menu to connect. Table.
ident.
Ugh.
There's definitely a delay there.
There is a bad delay. Wondering what's got the... Okay, so I can change the title. List ID. What do you mean? The ID of the list. Thank you. That's... Gosh, that's priceless.
Yeah, they're still working on this.
Helpful help text.
Yeah.
List ID. I think this is going to be the identifier that it's... So, like, if I wanted to refresh the list in some form of data binding in here, remember when it asked which modal do you want to open?
Yeah.
And it asked for the modal ID. I think that list ID is what is used in that data binding for events related to lists.
Yeah.
Working
So
theory.
then you know, like, if you click the button, it knows to open that particular list.
Right. Edit filter. Let's just keep it simple with active as true. Some of the UI is really slow and jittery, and other pieces of it are buttery smooth, and I don't know what to do with that. That's jarring. View, let's go with ESS view. Ah, sweet. Okay, so view is your internal view when you create new form and list views.
Yeah.
There is an internal name to specify. ESS is the common one for the end users.
Yeah.
The external, what is it? End user self-support or employee self-service.
Yeah.
ESS, employee self-service.
I knew what you're talking about. It's the portal one.
Right. It's commonly used for the portal one. So columns. So what, I can override the view? What takes precedence? What do I control click? No. Do I drag and drop? No.
Double click?
No. Not click and drag.
You just click one and then hit OK? Yep.
I can only add one at a time?
Well, like, do the shift and hold down thing.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't like you.
That's odd. It doesn't seem... You can connect it to data binding like you can everything else, and that's cool. I don't know. That doesn't seem...
It doesn't jive.
No. That seems like a bug, not a feature. I have a feeling that will be changed. I have a feeling that will improve. I have a feeling we'll get slush buckety in the future.
Dude, you can change the label on the button. That's a step up. Like, you know, the... What was it we were messing around with the other day? The service catalog button?
But for some reason, the columns have now overridden, and it won't go back. I'm going to take a risk. Womp womp.
You did not save your page.
I did not, and the Control S does not work like it does in the Service Portal Editor. I have to click the Save button up at the top. You have to click the Save button at the top or it does not save your work.
Travis.
Yeah.
You have to click the Save button.
Yeah.
Did we learn something today?
We learned something very valuable. Save your work. Save early. Save often.
Just do a button. Toss that back.
No, I like the list. I want the list back.
I like the list.
And there's a simple list too.
Ooh.
Let's see. Let's go back to incident. All active all active. Let's change that to incidents. List ID. Let's see if I just start typing. No. That's annoying. My active incidents. Yeah, that'll work. Edit filter. Active. Apply. Save. Okay. View. ESS. Save. I'm not going to mess with the columns again because that
didn't end very well for you.
It didn't. I don't know what happened there. Max rows 20. Action config. I wonder if this is related to the declarative actions that Ashley was talking about. I don't know. Hard to say. Configurable workspace action config. We'll have to look at action configs. Highlighted values config. So highlighted values config is something we'll have to learn about. Header size. That's cool. We can manipulate that. Heading level. Change it to an H3.
Did it?
I don't know. That's kind of what I was assuming it would do.
There's a little circle by heading level. What does that say? What does that give you? Go down. Go down.
Highlighted value,
Right
heading
there.
level.
What does that say?
Configures heading level.
Are you friggin' serious? There's some Captain Obvious stuff up in here.
Hold on, let's do this. Where's my little... That guy. Oh, that's unhelpful.
What was it set to before you put the 3 in there?
1. Last refresh 2 minutes ago. Okay, I love this. I love this.
Oh, that's neat. I didn't even notice that.
So, the last refreshed indicator is really the reason I'm so excited about this is because there is a whole line of research and investigation into CQRS event sourcing systems and how to put together UIs based on this. Essentially, you issue a command to the system, and the command does something, but not right away. There's a job processor behind the scenes.
So it's more like a bureaucracy than a command.
Well, the advantage is you can get higher volume transactions because you're queuing up the commands instead of wasting time running cycles. And a well-behaved client can take into consideration what changes are being made and behave accordingly. So when you have a last refreshed indicator, this is one of those things that a lot of the CQRS event sourcing folks talk about from when they start talking about UIs, is that by indicating when something was last updated, you can defer executing actions immediately. You can queue up the action server side and then let something like Flow Designer perform an asynchronous action. The net result is a much more efficient system because instead of having, and this is really important in your CSM spheres where you have really high volume traffic, and especially government sphere where so many systems were taken down by high volume traffic. One of the problems is when you try to execute all the actions when the user clicks a button, it starts taking a long time. It starts locking up the database. It starts locking up the system, and everybody slows down because of it, including something that's perfectly cacheable, like a page read. When you move to something that is more CQRS oriented and more event sourcing oriented, CQRS is command query responsibility separation. You're separating the responsibility of issuing commands and pulling queries. What happens is you can queue up a lot of commands really quickly. It's a simple insert and then nothing else happens. The database doesn't lock up as fast, and you can have workers behind the scenes, which is exactly what Flow Designer is, processing and handling those accordingly. If two people issue commands at the same time that conflict with one another, then you have to have something where first command wins or something along those lines. But at that point, you can issue a notification on the user side that, hey, you asked us to do this, but we weren't able to because something else happened in the meantime. That allows the user to replay that command. They can just click and say, okay, we'll try it again, or okay, well, let me edit the command and then retry it. And that provides a system that is more responsive to users and lets them interact with the system and interact with the rule sets of the system a little bit easier, while also providing better performance overall. And this is a major point of consideration for, like I said, CSM style systems, government-oriented, citizen request systems, where you have large volumes of potential customers hitting the system all at once. There's only so much you can index a database before performance comes to a crawl. And the question is, do you want your system to be completely unresponsive? Or do you want to have the ability to continue to manage some of those requests, but just do it at a slower pace? And obviously the answer is you want to be able to continue to tell the user what's going on with the system. And having these sorts of last refresh type systems is kind of a UI step in that direction if you pair it with something like Flow Designer, which enables asynchronous flows or asynchronous business rules. That's the second step. Then the only thing you're missing is a command queue where you log all of your commands into the system and now you have a full loop system, which is basically a server-side seismic framework. So, sorry, huge diversion down a completely different path.
That's really relevant, though, to what we've been talking about and working on here lately.
Yep.
Especially with those high-level systems, and last year with the pandemic, seeing so many unemployment systems and everything else just completely tank.
Yep, exactly. And that's what's gotten me reading up on a lot of that stuff is is dealing with a lot of those government customers and helping them through their issues and having to deal with wild questions like how many nodes do we stand up to handle this, and the fact that, performance is a tough problem to solve even when you're dealing with a high performance system like ServiceNow. Even when you're dealing with high availability systems with multiple nodes, you still have performance issues that come into question, and the architecture you use when dealing with the database has a huge impact on that. Now modal. So there's my record list. I still can't figure out for the life of me what this what this heading thing has impacted. Everything's a component, even inside the components. This makes me feel so good about this. Now heading. ARIA level 3. Let's change that to, where'd it go? Down here. Heading level
27.
1.
Yep, there it goes. It changed. Up a little bit. Right there.
H1. Let's see if it changes the H3 as well.
It does.
That's cool. Okay, so you can change the heading level of that title. It didn't seem to do anything about the styling of it, but from a semantic standpoint, that is still important, especially with the ARIA level being changed as well. I love the care and concern that ServiceNow has put into the accessibility features for screen readers and stuff like that.
That's a great step for that. Can you click on the H1? No. Over there where you were in the code.
Over here.
Yep. I want to see what. Oh, well, I can't read that.
Well, let me see if I can. Let's see if UI Builder works on mobile. Man, this is still sucking up a storm. Really? Come on, editor. Work with me. Oh well. That's the best you get. Now heading, dash header, dash primary, has no margin.
If you look up there on the right where it says that set of classes right there, that gives you an idea of how the colors in the theme are put together right there.
You can see the vars. You can see the CSS variables in use. So in theory, somewhere we should be able to manipulate some of these variables in some sort of theme or something or other.
Yep.
And this is something that since day one of Service Portal, I have been asking for and submitting requests to get the components to add more configurable capabilities. And Service Portal never quite got to that point where you could go in and easily manipulate the styles. All of these variables in here is a really promising look that maybe we will, if not today, we may eventually have the power to manipulate some of these. That would be really phenomenal. Especially if you can build them in reusable themes, that would be phenomenal.
That would be really nice. If we can figure out how to do that, I'll be a very happy girl.
Hide title, hide record, so you can hide a bunch of stuff. I mean, already you're seeing the instance options mindset of Service Portal taken to
a new level,
a whole new level, and this sort of stuff is going to be game changing because I mean, yes, for people like us, we do want the ability to create custom components. Mm-hmm. Yes, we want to be able to, really razzle dazzle in the system. We want to be able to do heavy customization.
But even for people like us, not having to go in and cody stupid stuff like that 8 million times, that's nice.
Absolutely. Not having to worry about going into the CSS and manipulating some arbitrary property that might change. I still remember when the heading, I think it was it was like the heading widget.
It was the
search. Yeah, it was the search welcome text.
The homepage welcome.
And I had all these style sheets designed around the H1, I think it was. And then one version later, it was changed to an H3. And it totally made sense from a semantic standpoint, but I just completely table flipped over how such a simple change broke the style sheets that I had, and I had to go back and fix, and I had to go back and talk to other customers and say, look, this is going to happen when you upgrade. This is what you have to change. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's the trade-off I deal with my clients, because a number of them, they want Service Portal and they want it to look great and they want it custom, but they'll give me a week to do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this to you, but this is what you get. We don't have time to customize a lot of widgets and make sure that those styles are going to be future-proof. So you call me when you upgrade and I'll do any adjustments I need to do.
Right.
That's the trade-off you face.
But so I'm really glad to see all of these different options here in these components baked in because it gives you a lot of power with really low effort. Mm-hmm. And from a delivery standpoint, it also allows you to customers will be able to leverage folks at, admin and lower level developer, mm-hmm. If they're not managing a huge monolithic system, they can get away with just having lower level admins and then, calling up for help on really complex stuff.
Yeah.
And the amount that your lower level admins will be capable of in this system
This will be nice.
is far above what they could do within Service Portal. And we experienced that at GlideFast with our marketing team using the Service Portal as our public site for a while. One of the reasons we moved off of it was because our marketing folks needed a system that already had a lot of the options built in where they could drag and drop and control and manipulate, and just we were going to have to go in and build all those options in because they didn't exist in Service Portal as instance options initially. I feel like this style UI builder is something that our marketing team would be much more readily able to use.
Oh, yeah.
And, from a decision-making standpoint at a customer, that's huge. That is a huge game changer to be able to have your admin level folks basically gain superpowers overnight to change these portals and manipulate things, and not have to call up the big guns for every little change that needs to be made.
Yeah, especially if you're keeping with this out-of-box styling and what have you. I would guess that a lot of the heavy lifting, the big guns as you will come when it comes to not just placing these components where they need to go, but making them look different and customizing like the shell, the headers, and different things like that. Especially as we've already seen, just like knowing your way around all the different things outside of just dragging and dropping.
Right.
What all the UX page registry and all those different things are.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see how this affects us from a consulting and partner standpoint, because as you enable the customers and clients to be able to do more with their portals. I mean, obviously with Service Portal, if you weren't a Service Portal developer, there was only but so much you could do with configuring a portal. It was one of those really strong theories, really strong foundation, but I don't feel like it ever delivered the promise in terms of exposing those capabilities to the customer.
No, but I tell you what, I have a lot of fun being told, keep it out of box. Okay.
This I feel like hits closer to that, and I'm curious to see how that starts to impact us.
Oh, yeah.
From the partner standpoint, do we end up getting less portal work, or does the portal work begin to change? Do we begin to move into more of a consultative role in terms of user experience and in terms of what is actually going to drive customers? Does this free us up to move from building lots of custom components to building, analytics and building, conducting A/B testing and conducting the different types of experience analysis?
Yeah, things that are actually going to drive how well the portal performance or the experience, whatever, performs, overall.
Right. And I guess I think that was one of my biggest complaints about Service Portal was I felt like we as a team spent so much time rebuilding a lot of the same stuff over and over again in terms of just basic UI fodder, that we never really evolved to the point where we were having the really hard discussions about what is actually going to impact your self-service performance. These portals are not there just to look pretty. These portals are not there just because, I guess we need one, everyone does one. These portals are supposed to save you money. These portals are your tier 0. These portals are the way that you deflect those incoming service requests, and being able to move into figuring out what actually is going to impact that.
And that's the struggle, because with a lot of my clients, Service Portal ends up being a tag on the end, and I'm told to go in and just make it pretty or whatever, and I'm like, but this is the most important part of your implementation. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you get that return on investment, and this is why I educate. The design is not just throwing a coat of paint on it. Design is not just about making it pretty. Design is about how it works, how it behaves, what they see, how they feel about what they see.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if they're not comfortable with it, if they don't like how your portal looks, they're not going to use it. And if nobody is using those self-service tools, you have lost so much for the investment that you've put in with ServiceNow
Right.
But I think that with this as a partner, with a lot of the components already built out and more options, and we're having to spend less time actually building the same types of widgets, and we can only build components for like special cases and all that.
Right.
Maybe we can spend more time focusing on analytics and really getting into what makes these portals tick. And because there's not a ton of good, because I've looked, there's not a ton of good information of UX studies specifically on help desk sites.
Yeah.
There's not. A lot of the UX studies you see are on like sales sites.
Conversion. Sales conversion,
yeah,
right.
Stuff where you want to keep them there as long as possible. I'm like, no. My job is to get Becky over in the clerk's office in requesting a reset to her password and out and on her way.
Right. That's a really good point. I never really thought about that before, but the purpose of a help desk site is the polar opposite difference of where traditional UX studies are done on sales conversion.
Yep.
On sales conversion, you want them there as long as possible. Mm-hmm. You want them to keep coming back to your site, and you want to lock them into your site and basically make them psychologically dependent on your site. But from a help desk perspective, you want them to get their answer and get back to the job that you're paying them to do. The more time they spend on your help desk site, the worse off you are. That's a really good point. I never really thought about it from that perspective before, but that does call into question even some of the UX nuggets I've tucked in my back pocket, because I got to go back and look at some of those research now, because it probably is pertaining to
sales sites and getting them to convert and getting them to stay on your site and browse and find more that they want. I'm very susceptible to the UX of, hey, buy stuff on the internet. So, case in point.
I'm not going to lie. It irritates me just a little bit. Not like for real, but just a little bit. It irritates me just a little bit that I helped train you like 2 years ago, and I feel like you've already completely surpassed me in terms of building portals.
Well, I also had like 8 years of experience doing design before this, so that helped.
I have been replaced.
You have not been replaced. They're there. It's okay. That's all right. I look at some of the others on our team, and they still could script circles around me. I'm just, I specialize in color theory. And you're still my ServiceNow Google. It's okay.
I still have a place.
You do have a place.
So let's see. Moving on here. We got tangented again.
Well, like you do.
So a generated ID that represents a shared list and its applied conditions. This is master.
This is why I say Service Portal is not going away anytime soon. This right here.
Wow. That just...
Here's your new tool. We're not going to tell you how to use it, but here it is.
It'll get there. It always does.
It will.
But that's just...
It's going to take time.
But that's just pure joy when...
Yeah.
In like the worst possible way.
I don't think joy is the word you're looking for.
It might not be. Stockholm Syndrome.
There you go.
Stockholm Syndrome.
I love you, ServiceNow. I love you. Please, may I have another?
The information to display when an error occurs, so we can change what an error says.
Can write and be like, yo,
if we knew what the object format was, presumably. Selected records controls the ability to highlight one to many rows on the page. Do I dare?
Yes.
It is a master list. Fantastic. Good to know. I gotta say, though, I love yes, the links here have no information behind them whatsoever right now. But I love that the links are right there in the UI. Once again, once this documentation is built out, the fact that all the help text is right there in the tool is just incredible.
That's nice.
This is from a UX standpoint, this is leaps and bounds above anything ServiceNow has done before. This is really promising.
In a couple of years, this is going to be so easy for somebody to jump in and figure out.
Oh, yeah. Configure declarative action event mappings. Does not have any handled events. No? I wonder why that's down there. Action config. All right, well, let's take a look at the action configs right now. Edit, create new. Yep, declarative actions. So I think this is some of the declarative action stuff that Ashley has been writing about on her blog.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to take a look at some of her content to see if we can't get up to speed on this without me beating my face against a wall.
That sounds like you're giving me homework.
I'm giving myself homework.
Okay. As long as we're clear.
And highlighted value. So I'm assuming this is... I don't know what that is. No, I
Just back
lost,
away, man. Just back away.
Back away slowly. Just back away slowly. Somewhere there's information on this, and if there's not, I will dig up something in the system to figure it out. Styles, back to CSS. Yeah, we'll go back to CSS styles, and then we've got a whole bunch of different events. Is this tied to the same? Yeah, it's tied to all the same event handlers. So I've got a lot of questions at this point in terms of, can we create new event handlers? What are all the capabilities that we can do behind the scenes? There's a lot in here. I still have to figure out how to put headers and footers on this thing, which I remember being somewhere over here. Yeah, header settings, navigation settings. We'll dig into all that stuff eventually. At this point, I think I'm going to start wrapping it up for the evening. I've managed to get an experience created, which thank you to the Live Coding Happy Hour team. Would never have figured that out without you guys. Where did my... Oh, X. There we go. We've managed to mess around with some of the components, mess around with some of the component specific CSS. We've done some adding of different things. Real quick, can I drag and drop? I can. We'll have to mess around with some of that because it looks like once you set your containers, it looks kind of hard to mess with those. I don't know. We'll have to mess around with the drag and drop at some point. We'll mess around with some of these action and declarative data bindings. But so far, there's a lot of promise here. There's a lot I still have to learn. We haven't touched anything down here. And that looks really cool. This stuff down here. So
I don't think you and I have the same idea about what cool is. Okay, take your word for it.
But so next time we circle up, we'll continue down the road of breaking apart UI Builder and continue to see what we can learn. So thanks everybody for joining us, and hope to see you next time.
Have a good night.